It appears the Jay-Z camp is moving pretty desperate over there after getting support from NBC, the NFL. They have moved to try to get this lawsuit dismissed by pulling out all of the weapons in their arsenal. First they tried to slander his name, call him an ambulance chaser, which most people can believe about most lawyers. It's not like they're swell people. But at the same time, gangster rappers who build up their persona based on being a criminal, working within Hollywood and being elevated to a high level, well, we know those people aren't good people either. And in fact, they're worse. Because clearly, due to all of the defenses, somebody's trying to protect Jay Z, but due to the reckless acts by his lawyer, the Diddy lie about him not being friends with Diddy and trying to go through other avenues to get him now labeled as a spreader of STDs, as if any of that is relevant to this case. And so to me, I just sit back and laugh at this whole situation. I mean, you even had Rock Nation, the official account Rock Nation, Jay Z's company allegedly, go on a Twitter manic post where they constantly tweeted and deleted a particular post and using the term baloney accusations. I mean, again, just the level of discourse is really unfortunate to where it is today, using terms like baloney accusations. It sound like, especially like calling something baloney, it sounds like a 12-year-old from the 1990s making that type of post, you know. But again, like I said before, with, people like Jay-Z, him and his wife are very notable feminists and promote concepts like believe women. So according to them, I'm supposed to just believe this woman based on her words. Same thing goes for his fans. They advocate for that as well. I mean, they love, in particularly, elevating old girl Beyonce as a feminist icon. But now, when it comes to her husband, we're supposed to, or we actually get to question women when they accuse men. I mean, you have to remember these are the very same people cheerleading Donald Trump just being guilty because they don't like him. It had nothing to do with whether or not they actually believe the women that have accused him. Uh, Same thing with Trump's attorney general pick, Matt Gaetz. Danny Masterson, who's behind bars. People weren't coming to the defense of him because, they saw him as some Scientologist who was just automatically guilty, not because they care about the facts, but solely because they either dislike the person or what they believe the person stands for and represents. But the fact of the matter is, all of these hectic actions being done by Jay Z's team is making him come off more and more guilty, not less. And the fact that uh, one of Jay Z's lawyers motioned for order to show cause continues to highlight Jennifer Lopez's name. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if J Lo's people don't eventually get involved because they've injected her name into this conversation a few times. you know, and she's already had some like bad news attributed to her name. Not of a criminal sort, but more so of a, you know, whether people were socially liking her for some reason. I wasn't really following it. All I know is that she's divorced from Ben Affleck again. But yeah, the mentioning of J Lo's name. I think his lawyer even mentioned Fred Durst's name. And you remember when before Diddy got locked up, his representation They he wasn't. There weren't a lot of mentions of other celebrities, but I think Jay Z, you know, once he is ordered to enter the courtroom, I think Jay Z is going to be the one that cough up every name you can imagine. And to me, as I stated before, it's just entertaining to see. Because these people within Hollywood are utter scumbags. They're either all actively involved in criminal activity, usually of a sex crime nature, especially when you're talking about kids. They're either actively involved in that or they know about it but do and say nothing. And again, this is a thing that's been going on since the days of Shirley Temple. I mean, that entire industry, the mainstream entertainment industry under the Hollywood umbrella, that entire industry, from music to sports to movies to fashion and anything else that fits under that umbrella, they all need to be under full and meticulous investigation for their crimes. The laundering of money, the sex crimes, you name it. But, when you can get a few Negro rappers to suffer the consequences for their woke white libtard masters, then good, as far as I'm concerned. Because it's people like that that is usually the microphone for the libtard agenda to villainize people that dare speak against the Democrat Party agenda. And JC in particular, especially with Hillary Clinton, was very public with how he felt about people that voted differently from Hillary. This time his wife was a little bit more vocal with Kamala Harris. But again, it just goes to show you they're willing tokens, to push these various insidious agendas. And for that very thing alone, I wish them to be silent. The same way they have actively gone out of their way to silence people standing in opposition against the degeneracy that they promote. And what's so funny, if Jay Z really does get in trouble, on a Diddy level, someone like a Beyonce could drop him and she'll get more support than she ever received before. Because, on that woke hierarchy that Jay Z and Negroes like him adhere to, the heterosexual male will always be at the bottom rung. Because, if you haven't noticed, so far it's only been men that have been punished for these crimes. Like outside of Ghislaine Maxwell. But again, how often does that happen? They're mostly criminalizing when it comes to these things uh, alleged heterosexual men, or at least heterosexual presenting men. And I say that because, in order to be elevated at a high level, you had to dance around in the rainbow a few times. But anyway, ultimately, this is going to come to a head. And as I stated before, I'm looking forward to it because rappers like Jay Z are just utter scumbags that have pushed nothing but romanticizing and glamorizing criminal activity. So he deserves to go down just like the criminal persona that he promotes.